on and be with me to talk about, her life and everything. Grab that microphone right there. Sorry, it's all over the place. You're very welcome. Can we turn our microphone on? Yes. Hi, Chanel.
Hey, I have not been on radio or any of that in so long, so I'm so
Really?
I'm a little nervous.
Why? You're a professional.
I mean, listen, I'm a Detroiter, so I know how to get it done.
Yeah, absolutely. You know how to get it
I
done.
know how to play my position.
Yes.
But I don't know. This is interesting. And then I just found out that I guess it's on TV.
Yeah.
Online.
You live stream, on Facebook, on YouTube.
Okay. No.
And they look fantastic, so you don't have to worry about any of that.
Well, God bless you. I received that. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Where'd you grow up? On the west side?
West side. West side.
Really? What'd you high school?
Educated. I went to Cass Tech for 3 years, but my alma mater, my heart, my love is Redford High School.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
How do you go from Cass to Redford?
One of those kids. No. No, but I mean, all of this is really so connected to my story. But long story short, I will tell you that I remember being real depressed at Cass, just being a student. And it's a huge part of why I do a lot of advocacy around schools and school choice for everyday people.
Right.
But anyway, long story short, I was a student at Cass. I was struggling, but I wasn't failing.
Okay.
And so I felt like I wasn't getting any attention. And I remember, because of some situations I was dealing with at home, I said, you know what, I'm just going to drop out.
Wow.
I'm just going to drop out. I was still going to be an attorney.
Wow.
I was still going to do all these great things.
That sounds nothing like you at all.
But I was going to drop out with him. So I was going to drop out. I had a counselor who was horrible. She was so mean to me and wouldn't transfer me to the counselor who I should have been assigned to based on the curriculum that I was in. Anyway, so I decided that I was going to drop out, and I actually, the only question that remained was, could I go to college with a GED? I didn't know the answer to that. So one day I'm walking down the hall, and I said, oh, this man is a counselor. He's got his door open, and I walk into this man's office. I had never met him. And I said, hey, my name is Chanel Jackson. You don't have to give me a whole speech, because what I'm about to tell you, you're not going to like. Don't try to convince me to stay. I just need to know, can I go to college with a GED? He's like, what? What are you talking about? And long story short, I remember crying.
You don't have to give me the long story. You can give me the long story.
Well,
because now I'm all all in, wait a minute, you dropped out.
Well, he said to me, listen, I understand, I can tell that this has been difficult for you and that you had some things going on in your life.
So was it more home or was it more school environment?
It was both, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm a black girl with a single mother.
Okay.
So I was dealing with a lot at home. My mother had just had my sister, who was 14. So when I was 14. And so by 16, 17 years old, anybody who knows me knows that my whole life was Bria.
Right.
And the church and school. And so I was one of these kids who, if you had just walked in the classroom, you would have thought, wow, she must be the leader of the class.
Right.
But I had, I was barely making a 2.0. Wow. And I think every teacher thought that I was doing well in somebody else's class and just not in theirs. And I just remember having all of these hopes and dreams and desires, and I knew I had some kind of calling on my life, but I couldn't manifest that in my grades.
Okay.
I don't know now, because of my study and master's degree and did some law school, all this stuff. I know that, there's a lot to it, but I know that the reason for that is because of some of the academic programming that was happening, coupled with what I was dealing with in my home, my inability to communicate some of that to my mother, and just the heaviness I was dealing with. But that said, this counselor, he says, look, you're too bright to drop out, I can tell. I just met you. I'm sorry that you feel like you haven't had your needs met here. You can go to your neighborhood high school and do well there. And I said...
So you were taking a bus to Cass?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Or hustling, a friend to pick me up or whatever. Or my mother would drop me off when she could, And I get emotional thinking about this. And I remember looking at him and I said, I want to live. I can't go to my neighborhood high school. Because you really sort of get indoctrinated. This is 1997. I ended up graduating in 98. But it's like, it's Cass or
Bus.
Hell,
right.
Let them tell it.
Right.
You know, I remember that from ninth grade orientation.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And so I'm telling you that to
say. The creme de la creme is Cash, Renaissance, you know.
But not even so much that. Mm-hmm. It was safety.
Right.
Right? Like my brother went to Redford. Mm-hmm. And, you know, all I knew from Cass was that it was not safe anywhere except there.
Right.
And whether that was right or wrong, that certainly was the perception of me and thousands of other students. So I just had never even conceived that I would go to my neighborhood high school. Anyway, best decision of my life.
Wow.
Changed my life.
In what way?
First of all, and I hope this is not offensive to anybody, I'm just being honest. Because there was so much going on at Redford, mm-hmm. as soon as they found out I was transferring from Cass, they were like, okay, you're going to the accelerated program. Okay. I don't think anybody looked at my transcript.
Right.
And it was fascinating because literally the accelerated program was a separate school from the rest of the school inside of the school, which, you know, for me was even the social justice in me. I mean, that was unfair because my brother, you know, there was a time when he and we were in the same building, but we were separated. And I just wondered what that was about and why. And I could tell that there was some injustice there. I mean, the quality of education should be the same across the school. That said, the administrators and the leadership in that program they were so happy just to have another child to pour into and who was ready and receptive. And so I had an amazing counselor, amazing educators in that last year. I got my confidence. I did theater and stage. I ended up winning a theater scholarship to Wayne State. I won the 100 Black Men of Greater Detroit Oratory Contest, which changed my life. I had $5,000 for college.
Oh, nice.
I had an opportunity, which, by the way, I needed to get admitted first somewhere. I ended up, because of the confidence that I built in prayer at Redford, I ended up walking into having the confidence to get on the phone and call the University of Michigan Dearborn, and they admitted me.
Wow.
And so that's how I ended up in college, and I would not have been able to make it without that $5,000, which I would not have gotten had I not gone to Redford.
Good for you.
Everything's a long story. Don't get me started.
That's a story within it. That's a book waiting to happen.
Listen, I have so much to tell. I have so much, and that really is why I do what I do.
Right.
You know, people ask me all the time, you know, why I get back into politics, and I'm like, not about politics. It's about
service,
right. and helping to be a part of the change. And the other day I said, you know what, let me just own it. It's really about my mother. And that's not just her, but the other mothers like her, right? Who question themselves every day, who go to work. My mother still works, you know, as much overtime as she can get, who pray, who live check to check, just hoping that the streets don't get her kid.
Right.
And that ultimately we'll live a life that's better than the one that we were born into.
Yeah.
And so that's why
between, you know, their own, you know, life and, you know, the life that they're trying to give to their kids.
Exactly.
I mean, it's tough for single parents, period, you know, who's trying to balance the both. You know, I was a single parent, you know, I helped raise my son as well for a long time. I don't envy it, man. I mean, it's definitely, you know, tough. So what was the spark of politics? You know, what made you say, I have to become a public servant? And when? You know, because you've been doing this a long time.
When I was 8 years old?
Okay.
I've been serious. See, I was born in grown folks' business. That's the truth.
Right.
My daddy died when I was 2. My mother and father were married. They had just found out my mother was pregnant with my brother. And my mother was just this young, naive, amazing spirited woman. And she lost the love of her life, you know. And so, anyway, so most of my life was me and my brother. And my grandparents were very active in attempting to help my mom with us. And I just remember, you know, very early noticing disparity.
Okay.
And the adults around me telling me, look, well, that's politics. That was the answer to everything. Because I was one of them kids. Why? You know. And saying, oh, that's politics. But it being described to me as something that sort of was out of my reach, that I couldn't touch or be a part of the change, was something that happened to me. And so very early on, I was bucking that. I was going to be a part of the solution, and I wasn't going to let things come down on high and, you know, tell my story or create my own path. And so I did student government anytime I could, and stood up and just, I've been a leader since I came out. I mean, it's just the truth. I took a lot of whooping for that too, because I had to learn my place. But I've just always had that leadership spirit and wanted to be a part of the hope. And so that was hope. And then also the Girl Scouts. Through the ministry, which was not even my home church, but through the ministry of Reverend Anthony at Fellowship Chapel. Right. My grandmother had found out from her friend of a friend about a Girl Scout troop that was around the corner from where we lived. Changed my life again. I mean, I learned about social justice. I started at 7, social justice and entrepreneurship, exactly. Right. And giving, and I got to travel. I would have never been able to travel. We used to get on these buses. Miss Moore, if anybody knows Miss Moore, she's still up there doing Girl Scouts. Wow.